Aloha! This is Trinidad, your island man, coming to you live, not from Hawaii. Yes, your island man is currently not on the island. I am presently in the mainland, firmly on terra firma, instead of in Hawaii on Aquafina. So yes, here I am. You often wonder what people in Hawaii do for their vacations. You know, you live in paradise. So where do you go? You go to the mainland, to Chicago. And fortunately, it's nice and warm. It's almost like Hawaii here. It's like in the low 60s right now. Fantastic weather. You know, I came here expecting snow, but I digress, because you came here for a movie review. And again, this is Trinidad, your island man, giving you his movie review of John Wick Chapter 2, Part 2 of the John Wick trilogies, or well, hopefully trilogies. By the end of this movie, it looks like they could continue on, and I certainly hope that they do. So remember our rating scale. Shaka thumbs up, it's good to see. Shaka thumbs down, it's bad to see, I don't recommend it, or it's junk. And I'm happy to say that with John Wick 2, Chapter 2, Shaka thumbs up all the way. This has much more action. You can tell that they had a bigger budget. They go to Rome. They go to, different locations. I think the first was still filmed in New York, but, you never really saw much of the scenery. Over in this one, you get to see a beautiful shot of Central Park, some of the subway lines. It's fantastic. The cityscape, the Brooklyn Bridge, all the New York sights and scenes, plus, a few shots of beautifully filmed in Rome of his first mission back. And yes, now, as you've heard, I was on vacation, so I was not able to do this movie review or see the movie right when it came out. So it's a week later. I'm sure plenty of people have already seen it. So, if there's some spoilers in here, I'm sure everybody who's going to see it has seen it. If not, get out there and see it. That's a fantastic movie. I won't go too deep into spoilers, but as you've heard in some of the interviews, this movie starts and is a continuation of John Wick 1, where at the end of that movie, he had crashed his car after completing his mission of revenge, killing the man who had killed his dog, stole his car, and even his father, because his father wouldn't let it go after he was all done with it. And killed the man who was responsible, which just happened to be the son of the man that he did. Now, that movie ended. You saw him stumble out of his car, kind of stitch up the wound in his belly, and get going and find a new dog. And that's where this movie kind of is a continuation, direct continuation. I thought it was going to be a direct continuation, that he would stumble on and we would see him kind of bloodied still from the first movie. But I'm glad to say that they did not go with that route, that they went ahead and they went a different route. It doesn't say how much time had passed, but the events of the first movie are still fresh in people's minds, So I'd say maybe a week, anywhere from a week to 1 month is how far this movie takes place after the first one. Again, it's not really stated, but I was afraid that it's like, well, probably that guy had a brother from the first movie, and this is probably just going to be a continued revenge movie, whereas he's trying to find peace, and then boom, he's dragged back in or hunted by the guy, the guy's brother that he kills in the first movie. I'm glad to say that only takes place in the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, just to tie up the first movie, and then it moves on completely. It's fantastic. Now, many people have said that he is dragged back in. I mean, you see that in the trailers, in the previews, and it is. But the rationale for it is, I think very well done. The story is well done. He's dragged back in because when he asked to get out, he had fulfilled this impossible duty, as you had heard in the first movie, and well, that left him obligated to one of these many people high up in the Assassin's Guild, which this apparently is. We get to see a lot more of the Continental, a lot more of the rules, a lot more of the world of this assassin world. And let me just say, again, shock a thumbs up all the way for this movie. It's a fantastic movie, and I found no flaw with the story, with the action, and, I found it, maybe a bit to the extreme, but, much further believable than, Triple X. I mean, you go to Triple X and you see, the Return of Xander Cage, and you're going to get some wild stuff. This one, it's like, okay, I could kind of sort of believe that. Some people have argued that this is well into the realm of superheroes now, that the whole world seems to be like this Assassin's Guild, but it's like, no. I mean, out of the whole world, maybe you have 1,000, 10,000 people, throughout the whole world on different continents within this very well organized Assassin's Guild. I think they've done it very, very well. I find that somewhat believable. I mean, if you're going to hire an assassin, even in The Accountant with Ben Affleck, you saw that there's a whole wide network, and any, criminologist or law enforcement agency, even looking at like some of the cartels, these are huge organizations that have a worldwide reach if they want to. You're talking like terrorist networks and stuff like that. They can reach out and touch anywhere, anyone on the globe at any time. So why would it be unbelievable that, 10,000 people, you don't get an exact number, but it seems like a multitude of assassins are part of this guild, per se. I'm not sure if there was an actual name for it. There was a name that they threw out for this, the inner workings of this assassin guild and the hierarchy. It's controlled by some circle, just sort of kind of like Wanted in a way, but apparently much larger, although we never saw much of that world in the Wanted movies. But yes, it's a fantastic movie. So I feel that it is a bit more bound to realism like the first one. If you can believe the first one, you'll have no problems believing the second one. He takes maybe a little bit more damage and wounds than maybe in the first movie. Definitely the stakes are higher. But that's what we wanted in this movie, and it still comes off as believable. There's nothing that he does here, Keanu Reeves, that Ben Affleck didn't do in The Accountant. So, and you could really see these two maybe possibly even meeting. I'm not sure. Probably not, but it would be cool to see. And somebody could splice that together, and put it on YouTube. That would be awesome. But Keanu Reeves does a great job. Lawrence Fishburne does a great job. He's in it for a small amount of the time, maybe about 20 minutes of the movie. But his presence, he has a critical role, and so it's nice to see those two reunited from the Matrix movies. And again, it's all believable what he does, how these two interact. Keanu needs something from Lawrence, and Lawrence needs something from him, and so he's able to help him out. But definitely, like I said, the stakes are much higher, much more action, a lot more fun in this movie. So definitely rush out and go ahead and see it. What more could I say about this movie? Big shock, a thumbs up. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Definitely, when the Blu-ray comes out, own it. There's some clips on YouTube where you see Keanu Reeves training in his martial arts skills and shooting, perfecting, items for this role. And it ends at the end of the movie, he's alive, so spoiler. But also, the way it ends, he's cast out completely. He's got nowhere to go, no place to turn, and he's definitely a hunted man for what he does in this movie. Much larger scale. You're talking about worldwide, Jason Bourne on the run kind of a scenario for John Wick. And so it should lead right into, again, Chapter 3 of John Wick. There has been some talk I heard from the director in some of his interviews about he'd like to see a prequel, some of what John Wick had done before, leaving the organization. I'm game for that. I'm game for anything Keanu Reeves does with this role, and I think he's definitely, on board with whatever they want to do with that. Prequel, sequel, you know, definitely multiple more movies that can be had out of this, you know, this series. I hope, you know, I mean, it's 2 now, so it is a series. So, but yes, big shock of thumbs up for John Wick 2. If you haven't seen it, go see it. I highly recommend it. You know, it's been out for a week, so catch the matinee. You know, buy it on Blu-ray, rent it from iTunes when it comes out, probably in the next couple of months. But I mean, it's, you know, if you're looking at the movie theater and it's like nothing's catching your eye, you know, go ahead and see this movie. It's, like I said, it's got action-packed. It's got a strong female character in it. Ruby Rose plays one of the main assassin villains, and she's great in it. You know, there are so many callbacks. You've heard about the ending fight scene in the mirror room, reminiscent of Enter the Dragon. You know, it's unmistakable. Kids, if you haven't seen Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee, you know, check it out on Netflix. I'm sure it's out there. If not, you'll be able to see many of those scenes on YouTube. Fabulous, and they do quite a bit of justice to that. All right, well, this is Trinidad, your island man, not live from Hawaii, here in Chicago, on vacation, soaking in the sun, sunbathing, here in Chicago, if you can believe it. The proof is in the pudding right over here. Silly geese. There's the landscape of Hawaii. I'm sorry, Chicago. Maybe in the next 20 years that'll turn into Hawaii, the way that they're building the condos and stuff downtown. All right, thanks a lot, and remember, aloha.